TV.
Where am I looking? You.
Hold on, people. You're looking wherever you want to look.
Sweet. Got a sick view over here.
That's not bad. Huh? Yeah, I'll just turn it off. All right, we're here with Coach Chuck and Coach Noah from Bellarmine. Got
That's
it
right.
right. And Ryan Warner will be joining us soon. We're just going to recap a little bit of what's going on with the college championships, day 2. Feeling all right. Kind of a tough day, kind of a long day yesterday. You guys have a good day?
Yeah, it was a good day. Yeah, we had a good time with it's a little different perspective, right? As a coach, you're in the heat, and right now we're still in our transition, so we have a little bit of time yet before we get to compete in the tournament. And so we're fans and we're spectators right now, but enjoying the wrestling.
Yeah, can you kind of explain for the people who don't know or aren't aware of what's going on with your situation? So in 2016, Bellarmine decides to add a program, right? And started off as Division II. Now you're Division
That's
I.
right.
And so what's kind of I'm sure people are thinking, man, Division I head coach on your show. The championships are starting here soon. But you guys are not allowed right now to have guys in the postseason. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we have one more season of transition, so we have that before we can compete in the SoCon Conference and then the NCAA tournament. So 2025 will be our first year.
Okay, so is Bellarmine, is it in the MAC in some sports and the SoCon in different sports?
Yeah, so there's some split conferences. ASUN is the most prevalent in terms of most of the sports, but yeah, it's split up a little bit.
Okay, cool. And what brought you to Bellarmine? Because before here, you were at Army West Point, associate head coach over there with Coach Ward. Another good group of guys, but what made you decide to make that leap towards being the main guy in charge?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, right? But I think I just get excited for challenges. That's something that I've looked for in every step of my career, right? And so it was definitely going to be a challenge. I knew I was getting a Division I program in Kentucky going, but I loved the area. I loved getting on campus and seeing kind of what was offered for student athletes there at the school and what kind of school it was, and then just making sure admin and everything were behind the program. And so, but yeah, the challenge and being a head coach was something at the time that, hey, it's something I'm really interested in. And I got a great experience, like you said, with some good dudes at West Point. And I felt like I was ready. And so I'm like, all right, let's do this thing.
That's awesome. I was reading your bio this morning, doing a little research finally. And Tyler, Ryan's downstairs if you want to. Can you grab him down? Yeah. You have to grab the key card. But I was doing research. Like I always do, #1 journalist in the game.
That's right.
And I saw you kind of worked your way around a little bit. Is that do you feel like that's a popular route or unpopular route these days?
Yeah, I mean, maybe from, sometimes recruits' parents will ask me like, hey, how long are you going to be here? Yeah. And it's a reasonable question, right? But in the coaching game, like there's a lot of movement. And for me, I think it was probably a non-traditional path, starting out as a student athlete at Iowa and then going to coach high school first and then kind of getting into the college realm and then becoming a head coach at the college level, at the Division III level, and then moving schools and then going to be an associate head coach at West Point. Like it was probably not the traditional route to being a head coach at Division I level, but it was right for me. Yeah.
I feel like you see that though a lot in like the NFL and other sports, but you don't see it as much in wrestling. In wrestling, it's kind of like if you're a really good wrestler, you would land this grad assistant job, and you become assistant coach, and then you're the head coach.
Yeah.
But you wrestled at Iowa, so you were there from 2000 2005. Do you have any good Adam Feller stories?
I always appreciated Adam in practices. He was always able to. Him and Paul Bradley are always able to lighten the mood a little bit and bring some laughs. But to be honest with that, I appreciate him, but we didn't do a whole lot of hanging out. Outside of the mat, we were probably on two different paths that way. But
we'll get into that later. But,
yeah.
So I get a text this morning from Josh from Barbarian Apparel, the #1 business in the #1 in the business. Right?
That's right.
If you need custom team apparel, or if you want to buy from a team store like Bellarmine, or you could buy our merch on there, you go check out barbarianapparel.com. Scroll down. And anyways, he tells me that you don't treat him very nicely. Is that right?
Totally false.
He takes you all the way to Europe, or you guys meet up in Europe or whatever, right?
Yeah.
With his family.
Yeah.
and you guys are gonna split rooms or something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
The next thing you know, you made him and his wife sleep on a twin bed. Just the two of them, the two of them, and then you get like some king bed next door. That's just what he's saying. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something
true?
like that. Yeah,
It's
something
true
like
you did
that. We met up. It was pretty cool to travel overseas, and one of my former high school athletes, Pat Smith, was wrestling the world championships, and yeah, I was like, I don't know, somehow it worked out where we were gonna share a room, and then he's like, yeah, my wife. I was like, oh man, he's just awesome. That's who he is. He's just an awesome guy, and runs a great company. Yeah, yeah.
I want to hear the story.
Yeah, but no, they they were able to, beds over there are not. It's not in America, right?
He said, we didn't know that over in Europe the beds were twin beds. I guess over here we're probably I don't know if we're bigger or what, but we got like full king beds and this and that. He also said though, you go to New York and he's thinking he's gonna get wined and dined and all this and that, and instead he ends up flipping a house.
Yeah,
what's going on? You hate him.
Yeah. So hey, he it's hard for him to say no, but he did. He was a big part of our apparel stuff at West Point too when I was there, and got him going there, and he was coming out to a golf outing, and it was like literally my time to transition to Bellarmine. And I'm like, hey, I know you're coming out to the golf outing. You want to just we'll just maybe ride back to together or whatever. I can hook you up. And I didn't tell him that he's going to help me. He's going to help me paint the deck and stuff and get my house ready to rent out. So yeah, end up having to after the golf outing, I picked him up. Hey, it's time to go to work, and put him to work on the house, and then crammed him into a van with my last load of stuff to head back to Kentucky. So it was pretty cool.
Yep, Ryan Warner just walked in, made it. The man of the hour walks in like Elvis Presley with the Starbucks. Thanks for bringing me some. I'm just kidding. How's it going?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, Ned?
Yeah.
This is all you.
Perfect.
Yeah, we got Ned's whole story lined up. We talked about how he and Josh Barbarian and all their beef.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
you're up to speed now.
Love it.
Yeah. So, all right, day one. What'd you guys think?
Man, it's just really cool. The level of wrestling is so high, and I just love being in my perspective now. I get to kind of enjoy it, right? Because we're not competing yet, and so I get to see all the high level guys getting after it. And man, it was fun. It's some of the guys you think are going to step out on the mat and just dominate, and somebody shows up to wrestle and they make it close. And there's just a lot of awesome action, and it was fun to watch.
I got a question for you, and you can answer it or not answer it. You see a kid wrestling, you're down there, right? You're watching kids, maybe doing a little bit of scouting. You see a kid maybe get into it with his coach a little bit. Are you going over there and sliding the card over like, hey, you hit the portal. I see some tension going on here, but
that'd be
hit that portal. We got a place over here in Kentucky. Does that happen?
Well, I think that'd be a solid recruiting strategy. But I don't have a floor pass, so that's not even an option for me.
Give you a floor pass yet?
Oh no.
We got to get you to FedEx Kinkos.
There you go.
You got to make a couple duplicates.
That could be our next YouTube video, just being like, we're gonna sneak in this coach into the thing.
Well, actually, when I was coaching Division III, they got a little smarter, but back in the day, they used to have the same passes. So when I was coaching Division III, I bring my Division III passes in and just kind of walk through like you know what you're doing and just go out right on in. But that's you got to be resourceful when you're low budget program and everything.
I know you and I have talked before about doing marketing. I think that'd be a great marketing thing, like a video, put it on YouTube, go viral.
Yeah, for sure.
I snuck into the championships and stole the #1 kid in the country.
Yeah,
that'd be legendary. The amount of USA Wrestling copper coaching cards that I've forged over the days to get on the floor at the Folkstyle Nationals in Cedar Falls is more than I'd like to count. So it is possible, though.
It's possible. Yep.
Yeah. I'd say the thing that jumped out to me is a lot of upsets early on, but a lot of those later matches or later brackets went chalk. Like at 197, which was supposed to be the bracket buster, that every single match went to seed, I believe, in the first round. Yeah. Which is pretty crazy considering.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy too because that felt like one of the brackets that like the people online were pretty upset about how that was seeded. What do you think of the seeding process, Coach?
I haven't dug into understanding all the nuances to it. There's been a lot of the talk about the conference seeds and stuff, and being a part of the EIWA, being in that, I was just like, man, I never got it. And Coach Ward, I remember asking him some questions about this and that, and just being like, all right, I'm glad you understand it. I'm gonna, move on. But understanding and agreeing with it are two different things. But it's just hard. I mean, it's a hard game. I don't know if there is a right or wrong way to do it. Everybody's got their own rationale for how it should work out. And as we've all been wrestlers before, and heard from our coaches, it doesn't matter what your seed is. And then maybe there's some truth to that. You got to beat the best guy to win anyway, right? Like, well, beating the best guy, 4 times, all the best guys on the way there looks a little bit different, and so it does. I think it has an effect for sure on the results. But yeah, as a coach, you want your athletes just focus on scoring points and winning. But yeah, I don't know how much energy I'm going to put into understanding all the nuances for the seeding, but I probably will need to, right? As my guys get that opportunity to compete in NCAAs, we got to put them in the best position, right, to earn those bids, those automatic qualifier and that large bids. So,
do you think coaches should have to rank the wrestlers?
That's I hate it personally. It's like my least favorite part of my job. I'm pretty sure that I'm the last person to turn in right at the deadline, right? It's like just kind of dreading going through it, and I think there's a lot to be said about having different perspectives, an unbiased perspective. Obviously, coaches can't be unbiased,
right?
And so it's really hard. I think it'd be nice to see just a general committee put together, and there's been a lot of talk about having the media outlets do it. And from a small school perspective, like, that's probably not good for us.
That scares you.
It scares us, right? Like, because you talk about Penn State, you talk about Iowa wrestling, like, and there's obviously media people, I don't think it's you guys at all, but that chase those programs because they know that they're going to get a lot of viewership, they're going to get a lot of that, and that will help boost their stuff. And so I don't really want to see it go just media, but should somebody in there that really understands and is looking at it and studying it, on the regular? I mean, there's definitely room for that, I think. But personally, as a coach, I don't think it's something that I like to do or we really should be doing. But I don't really know if I have the answer to figure out how do we get it so it's fair across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
It seemed like a lot of people, like, I think we talked about this yesterday, but like a lot of people don't understand exactly how it's done. It's pretty automated, right? Like, there's set criteria. They put everything into a system, and then all of a sudden, it pops out whatever it is. But then there's the talks about, like, no, there's actually some like personal opinions or biases going on where, like, they can physically move them. I don't know if that's true or not, but do you ever feel like with the coaches' rankings, like, there's coaches that kind of look out for one another to, like, hey, you help us out at this way, we'll help you out this way?
100%. Yeah, I mean, that definitely happens. And so that's where you're in that situation where it just can't be, unbiased. I mean, I'm the same way, right? I know I'm biased too, and it's just the way it's going to be. Like, you can put as much effort and energy and try to do it as fair as you want, but the reality is, like, you can't really control that when you're in the mix, right? When I coached, just a couple years ago at West Point, if I got to wait with one of those guys in it, it's like, I believe in that dude, like, I believe in that guy, and I think he can win. And so I just, I don't think that there's, any way to eliminate that if coaches are involved.
Yeah. Let's talk about the wrestling, I guess, from yesterday. I felt like it was the first year in a few years that the Boo Birds were back a little bit. It felt like after COVID, the people that were a little bit rowdier and stuff were kind of gone. It felt like that I don't know. It felt kind of lame the past few years. And then Iowa goes out there. I don't know who it was. I'm not going to put a kid on blast, but there was some kid who didn't perform very well, I guess. And, or no, he wins, right? And it was an Iowa guy, and he gets booed.
Yeah.
Did you feel like, as an Iowa wrestler, the Boo Birds are real? Like, do you feel it? Do you love it? What's that like?
Yeah, I think, during my time there, you learn to appreciate it and love it, right? Like,
do you appreciate the booze, though, or does it kind of hurt?
No, I never really took that personal. Like, it was, just something that just kind of fueled the fire a little bit. Like, hell yeah, like, that's, like, it's kind of what we created.
That's why I feel okay with booing. I'm like, no, he likes it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to help them.
Yeah. That's right.
I heard when Real Woods almost got taken down last night.
That's what I was talking about.
And that's when they
I was
came
like,
out.
Real didn't care at all.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, Real loves it. Yesterday was fun though. Like especially that morning session was really going, and
Felt back.
And these quarters are crazy because a lot of the brackets did go to chalk. So, and then I was like doing that game last night where like you look at the guys in the wrestleback and you're like, who's that loser of 339 winner? And you pop into the championship, and the anticipation when you get to see who it is unbelievable. And like there's one where I posted on Instagram, like the 165 backside, it's Kennedy, it's I'll look it up. And the loser of like Carr Griffith goes into it. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I saw that because it's either Kennedy or Griffith is not getting All-American, right?
And it's even worse than that. There's one other one.
I thought 165, if you looked at it beforehand, that was going to be the one that something like that would happen just because of how deep it was, you know?
Okay, so we have Kennedy has Sparks, and then if he wins, he is the winner of Julian Ramirez Braunagel. So Julian Ramirez Kennedy will wrestle, and then the winner of Ramirez Kennedy gets a loser of Carr Griffin.
Right. Right.
And
That's
that's
insane.
That's the blood round, I think, is to win that one, which is like
Even just that quarters matchup is crazy, though.
crazy.
For sure.
I think
Yeah, what are some of these quarters?
the whole time I'm there, I had this complete contradiction in my head where I'm like cheering for an upset. I'm like, yeah, but then I'm like, wait a minute, that guy's on my wrestle stat team.
Yeah.
And then the other thought is, I'm cheering for the upset, right? I'm cheering for the 15th seed over the whatever. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that means the 2 seed's going to be on the backside, and my Iowa State guy I'm cheering for, or my wrestle stat guy that I'm cheering for, is going to have to face him next, and he's
Yeah. That's what's really cool. There's so many storylines like that, right? And you're following that. I think we've done a much better job from just blowing up the wrestling media side of things of being able to talk about and show those things coming up and get fans behind it. And it's a little bit easier for people to follow. Like back in the day, just, Jason Bryant and Brian Hazard just doing a better job of over the PA, making those announcements as they're happening. Like it's just easier for fans to follow, makes it more enjoyable for them to like see and track some of that stuff.
Well, I was telling Tyler walking up here, the amount of wrestling you remember watching from home versus being at the arena is starkly different. Like I'm driving here this morning trying to remember all the matches. I'm like, shit, I don't remember this, I don't remember that. And it's just like you get in the atmosphere, and the next thing you know, you're watching one match and you flip over. So you do take the announcers for granted when you're at the event in person.
Yeah, I was texting like my friends who are home in Iowa and wherever. I'm like, hey, what happened there? And they're like, dude, you're there.
Right.
Like you're there, but when you're there, you're like looking at
There's
eight
so
different
much.
things
It's
and, like,
overwhelming.
right. And you also need like an iPad in front of you with like a track dashboard or whatever, so you can just track it that way. But
Yeah, I wish there was like an earpiece companion. You're in the
they
arena.
used to do that.
Yeah.
They used to do that. They would sell these. You walk in, and this guy with a backpack and a big sign was hanging out, walking around selling like $15, $20 radios. Is that working? Yeah. $15, $20 radios, and you could just go like 1 through 8 and just hit the button, and then they would have an announcer on each individual mat. It was
Why don't
sick.
they do that? That's amazing.
It's great for fans to be able to track, especially like my dad,
Right.
70 years old, can't hear. Like I'm yelling in his ear. And I'm like, this guy was a national champ, like, screaming like, what?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think they used to do that at MMA fights too, like the UFC. I've heard Joe Rogan talking about that, where they used to do that, and the fans really liked it because I've been to an MMA fight, UFC card in St. Louis a few years ago, and it was kind of weird because there was no like announcer during the fight, so it was kind of quiet at times as well.
Yeah, it's weird how used to that you get, the PA and not the PA but the announcer. So it would be bring it back.
That's
You're
right.
hearing it here. Bring it back.
Ryan's got beef with the program printers.
Program printers. They shamed. Did you hear about this sham that they're running here?
Sad.
So Tulsa's let me down in a number of ways, and I'm happy to get into it, but I'll start here. The brackets they were selling yesterday, session 1, were the original brackets of 133 and 49. Like they didn't.
They
didn't reprint them after they redrew them. That's criminal.
Foul.
Criminal.
And imagine a non-diehard getting that, and then like trying to follow the wait. That's
they'd be super confused.
Yeah, they'd be so confused. So
So we just had our national tournament, the NCAA national tournament, we're able to compete at in Puerto Rico, right? So apparently there was a language barrier problem there where their programs had something wrong. So I get it. I kind of get that. But Tulsa, come on. This is old. This is a wrestling mecca, right?
Reprint 'em.
Yeah.
So you guys went down to Puerto Rico to have nationals?
Yeah. So we got it's
Were
where
you
like the
doing folk style or
transition.
freestyle?
It's still folk style. Yeah.
Who does folk style down there? Do they all do folk style down there?
They actually have their start and some stuff going down there. So they actually had a team too, but the NCAA just decided, hey, we're gonna host this tournament down in Puerto Rico. So it's pretty cool. The guys got a little vacation. I'm wearing my party shirt here still. My Barbarian
nice.
party shirt.
Yeah, let me show this off real quick.
But yeah, no guys got a chance to wrestle in the tournament, in a different country and have a good time and enjoy some of
So
the
kind of like a
pleasures of that.
destination nationals.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, like saying they're a little program snafu like I kind of get,
Yeah, we'll give that to them. That is sweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped on this.
So Josh hooked us up with those shirts as we
Barbarian.
head down there. So
I think
There you go.
so. I think so.
that's why I feel like I'm still on
I think
vacation,
I
right?
think
So I
that-
can wear.
that
I'm
needs
still
to
on
be done.
vacation.
Hold on. There we go. Look at that.
Boom.
I've always wanted to do this. I never had this done to me. I'm the next 125-pound 4-time national champion. They're gonna build a statue of me. I want the pitch. Why am I going to Bellarmine?
Man, I don't know if I want to sell the whole pitch. So we got some competitors out there too.
What can you give
but-
out? What can you give us? So I'm out. I'm out.
That was
I
a
get the
really
full
good way
pitch.
to get out of it.
You're like, you're not worth it.
We're not going to give you the playbook on that one.
Yeah.
We need a video guy.
Yeah.
We need a sack guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, there's a lot to the recruiting game, and I really enjoy talking to families and trying to get that top kid, right. And we got a ways to go, but for me, it's just about selling the vision of what's to come. We're in a really exciting position right now where you're going to be able to be the first of everything. The first guy to qualify for the national tournament, the first guy to be an All-American, the first guy to be a national champion. To be a part of the first SoCon, conference championship team. And so we're looking for people that are really excited for challenges, and, whether they're the top dog already or they're not the top dog, like they want to do it at somewhere it's never been done before. And I think that's really enticing for a lot of kids. Some people, feel a little slighted, at times where felt like they should have been recruited by the Iowas, by those big schools and didn't get it, and feel like they want to win. Hey, they want to win world and Olympic medals, and they're not getting the love. And so hopefully we're there to step in and snag them up. But Bellarmine's an awesome school. It's a strong school, and the job placement rate afterwards is like 98, 99%, something like that. Our student athletes are 100% into their career field. So it's that stuff's pretty crazy when you look at what they've been able to do afterwards. It's got a great name, and Louisville's a great town. You guys got to get down to Louisville, man. We're talking about NCAAs. Louisville at the Yum Center will be a great spot. So we're hoping to kind of throw in a bid here and work through that process. And 4th Street area, all that stuff is just a great spot to have a national tournament. It would be awesome, and it's a big arena. There'll be plenty of fans. That's one thing I was a little shocked with, to be honest with being here in Tulsa. It's, there was talk, it's only whatever it was, 15,000 fans or whatever. It's only this many seats. I'm like, well, it's cool and all, but like it wasn't completely
not sold
packed.
out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's not even like,
not even
come on,
close to
wrestling
sold out.
fans. Like where are you at? Everybody's complaining about that. And I'm like, man, we're not even packed in there yet.
I think my conspiracy theory on that is that I don't know if they did this or not, but people were saying that you couldn't buy all session tickets. So I don't know if maybe people are like, I'll skip Thursday. Today, if it's not busy, maybe the morning session is probably going to look similar to last night and yesterday morning. But I feel like tonight, if it's not packed, I'd be surprised. I feel like it's going to be packed. And then Saturday, we know it's probably going to be packed.
Well, I did get so typical wrestling fashion. My brother and I are not sitting in our assigned seats, so we do the whole rigmarole. When someone comes, you act so surprised.
That's
we're
the
205.
That's the Maryland heckler right there. You're pulling the Maryland heckler.
But to kind of build up the crowd, the night session that happened to us 3 times, and then we said just sit in our normal seats. So that didn't happen at all during the first session. So that's my barometer of how things were going. How often I get kicked out of my fake seats. So. Yes,
we have good seats. I'm not gonna lie. Shout at the
great
Barbarian
seats.
Apparel.
All right.
And this is not his fault, but however, we're like in the middle. We have great seats, But the guys next to us, it's like Fort Knox, dude. They never use the restroom, and I'm like, guys.
And there's only an aisle on one side of us, and we're on the very end of it, so we
You
have to
gotta
walk
walk
by
up.
everybody.
And
to
the
get
guys to
out.
our right are potty goers too, and so we're all like, the 5 of us are trying to make an alliance against these non-potty goers. Like, guys, maybe we just all, and they don't they don't want to stand up when we're walking through. It's
They're
tough.
giving you the.
Oh my
Come on, guys.
I know, and I'm like, dude, I have to go to the bathroom. I don't know what to tell you. What am I supposed to do? But these dudes do not move. They don't get drinks. They don't get food. Because
Yeah.
I usually just pull the, all right, he's going. I got to.
Y'all go to, yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped taking in liquids once the session starts, just to minimize it.
Like a concert, you get to the front row and you don't want to risk it.
It's like these guys are trying to freaking All-American and not go in the bathroom.
It is amazing how much better the seats are in the 100 section versus the 300 though. Like you can like see muscles, and otherwise it's it's not the best, but we're figuring it out. My plan this session is get there, say my seats for the 125 match, scope empty seats, and then at 133 make the move.
I'll also keep my eyes out.
Keep eye out for 2.
I don't see, I don't see anything at the moment, but I'll see. Some people don't always make it to every session,
Right.
you know?
Morning session, especially tomorrow.
That's
You got some good
wide open.
Got some good
Yeah,
good
that's all
options.
bets are
People are
off.
still recovering, you know.
I'll be proud of myself if I make that session.
Those are some of my favorite matches though. Like on those counties, it's like wow,
Yeah.
these are awesome matches, and a lot of people don't quite make it out of bed at that time yet. So.
Another thing I'm
I'm
on to
guilty of
is
that.
the press box area, orange wristband only to get in. So I'm strategically looking at Walmart's. I'm
Kinko's,
strategically looking at
yeah.
Kinko's. I'll be back at Kinko's.
We'll
And,
see maybe today they do a different color.
oh, that
I
would
bet
be.
they switch it up.
That could be.
Take notes.
That put me for a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My pack of 500
Yeah,
orange
you're
wristbands out.
Can we talk a little bit about some of the matches? I was off the league glory hype. I was out the whole year. I've been trying to see this match for I don't know how many years now. It hasn't happened, you know.
Yeah.
And then seeing both those guys go yesterday, I'm like, I'm back. And the people in the hype train are like, no, you're not allowed back in. But I'm knocking on the door. I'm back. What do you guys think? Do you think there's a possibility of the King getting dethroned on Saturday night if it gets to that point?
No,
No, you're
no.
off the
But
train?
Glory is looking great.
He is.
Glory's looking great.
And I
Coach?
like the emotion displayed by both of them in their first round matches, so it makes it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Spencer Lee. I love watching him wrestle, and I hope not. I'd love to see him get 4 done, you know. But to say there's no chance ever is, we know it's wrestling, man. Every time you got to show up, you know. Watching, you know, Maryland versus Penn State, you know, Shane Van Ness was an amazing wrestler out of high school, and it's like, dang, he's getting it taken to him, you know. It's down 8-0, and there's a challenge in the third period, and the kid just, it couldn't have been that out of shape, right? It had to have been anxiety. It had to have been just a mental block, and he just fell apart, and Shane comes back and pins him. Like, it was incredible. So, like, obviously Spencer Lee's, you know, not in the same league in terms of mental stuff, but you never know, you know, people when you get in that moment, like, things can happen. But I'm very confident in Spencer, and I really hope he gets it done.
I'm glad you brought up Van Ness. I want to talk about Pinheiro because
Next topic.
This is one of those matches where I was there for it, and now I'm looking back, I can't remember the scoring sequence because Van Ness doesn't score a lot of points.
It was 6-0.
Okay.
And
Van
then
Ness?
6-0 Van Ness. Then, it doesn't matter, but I thought it should have been escape and a takedown, but they gave him a reversal. So Pinheiro reversals him and then cuts him. So now I'm like, okay, all right, because Pinheiro's not known to score a ton of points sometimes. And so he reversals him, then cuts him, and then he takes him down. And like that was like a 10-second sequence. So I was like, holy crap, that kid's broke. We broke him from bottom. And then we ended up just keep cutting him and taking him down, kind of taking him down. But I think at one point he got Van Ness got another takedown, and after that it was kind of. That match when they wrestled in the duel earlier in the year was either overtime or just a 1-point takedown in the third period. So I was worried about that match from the beginning. Gotten some Discord arguments about that match, but
How did Van Ness get the first 6? Like takedown back?
I don't remember.
See, that's what
I think he did get his back exposed.
Okay.
Yeah. It was takedown and backs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't know the actual, if it was
Right.
a headlock or what it was. But he was wrestling at the same time Swiderski was wrestling, so I was going back and forth
Right.
between the two of them. But that's hard too when you have guys that it used to be nice because Iowa State would only have like 3 guys qualify. You'd be like, all right, 25, 49, heavyweight, we're good. But when you got a lot of guys going, it's kind of hard to follow all that.
Yeah.
You miss so many good matches. You can't even
You
look
do.
at your phone.
Yeah.
No. Coach, you were right, though. That Van Ness Maryland match was crazy because, 40 seconds left in that match, he was still down, 6-7 points.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Kale jump like that. When he pinned him, he jumped. Kale was into that one. And Van Ness has a pretty winnable quarters match, too. An unranked guy came through, or a lower-seeded guy came through.
Know the name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here. Yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking like that.
Rooks.
I mean, that's a.
Rooks.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Rooks,
okay.
Rooks. So he could definitely win that match. I mean,
Yeah.
Rooks is tough, but Van Ness Rooks is a toss-up, and then he's in against Yanni.
Yeah, and
So-
if he loses that match, every round in the cons, he's that's big points for Penn State that
Oh,
they'd
yeah.
lose if he would have lost that match. And
But kind of going
Yeah.
0-2 is a little
Yeah.
eye-opening.
He got some crazy hate for no reason. I
Yeah.
felt like people don't understand how hard it is to do this, and that kind of angered me a little bit. I don't know why.
for sure,
I don't like seeing that.
it is so hard to be a Division I All-American. It's
Yeah.
really difficult. And yeah, a guy like that. I mean, he was again same deal, one of the top high school kids, right? And he's still really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. And again, just didn't happen for him yesterday, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that, he's a high All-American next year. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
We also get to see Carr and Griffith today, right?
Right.
Is
In
it this
about
morning?
2 hours.
Holy
Yeah.
smokes!
Can't wait.
That's going to be a big one for sure. I feel like people are kind of counting Griffith out a little bit. He won the first match yesterday 1-0, and then he dominated in that second match.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting.
And Muniz losing yesterday was pretty crazy.
Who's that?
Oregon 65-pounder?
Oregon State.
No, are you talking about Olguin?
Yeah.
Trey Munoz is going to wrestle Marcus Coleman today, and that's one of Marcus Coleman's only losses, so that's going to be a big one.
Oh, dang.
Him and Assad had a close match at the end of the day, too, yesterday, going to overtime.
That was a
I don't know
lot
if you guys saw
tighter
that
than
one.
I expected.
close.
Which one?
Coleman and
Assad.
Assad
Missed that one.
went to overtime. Boring match. But
Walking to get
It was going into overtime 1-1, I think. Something like that.
yeah. Who's been your guys' MVP so far? People. Well, let's not say MVP because that's hard to say. But anybody surprise you? Dang, that kid's really showing out.
Coach?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I remember just even looking at a couple of top guys and thinking, well, it's a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be, So I'm trying to think of somebody that stood out as really impressive. I mean, to be honest, one of the schools that stood out and they haven't scored a lot of points is, I was watching a couple of the Ohio University guys and I was like, man, they were in tight matches in position to win.
Match with Hagen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they, I don't even know if they've scored any points yet as a team, but they were right. Those guys are right there in those matches. And so I'll try to think of some other guys that might have surprised us as really strong performances.
one.
But
Silas Allred.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Bro.
I knew that kid was good. He pinned Pinero last year, and he was I remember texting Corby who is this kid good? Was this an okay loss? And he's like, yeah, that kid's gonna be good. And then he's kind of had some losses or whatever, but then he ends up freaking beating Max Dean last weekend, and then you
Doing
can
it
say,
again.
oh, that was a fluke, and then comes and does it again. So now it's officially not a fluke.
Yeah. He just looked he looked so good in that match. That his reattack and just how he's able to slide to the single was just beautiful. And then he just was disciplined on it and didn't freak out. And I feel like Max has been in a lot of tight matches, right? But he just always seems to just find a way to get it done in a tight, close match. And Silas wasn't having it. And, I got a lot of respect for the Nebraska coaches. I think they do a great job and game planning wise, hey, they've figured some things out in the past with Burrows and things like that. And so for whatever reason, I think they kind of, unlocked the lock there on Dean and found a way to get it done.
Nebraska coaches are amazing because the in-state talent is not that strong. So they have to get everyone out of state. That is a really hard thing to do. I mean, some coaches can win their in-state battle and then get a few out of states and they're solid. But when you have, no knock on Nebraska, you just look at the number of All-Americans they've had, not that many. So they're going everywhere. They're getting everyone. All right, here's one, though. And I got to admit, guys, I didn't know a lot about this guy until the Big Tens, but 133 from Minnesota, Aaron Ncaa.
Yeah.
This guy's top game.
He's solid.
First round 8-0 win, and then he pins Philippi in like 250. And I watched it. It was a bullying. It was it was crazy. So, and then also at 133, McGee, Illinois boy, really laid it on Mendez. Like, I was kind of surprised to see that. Like, I thought it'd be a little bit closer, but kind of bullied him. There's quite a few matches here, but the other one that jumped out, 57, Levi Haynes, Bryce Andonian.
Yes, I was going to bring that up next.
That's coming up.
That's
awesome.
nuts.
What do you think, Coach? That stylistically, I don't know if you've been able to watch either of those guys too much this year, but what stylistically can you break that match down a little bit?
I don't know if I can break down the match at the level of detail that's going to happen, because I don't think you can really predict anything Bryce Andonian. You know, he was a lot of fun when I was in Ohio. I was able to be a part of some of the junior level national teams type stuff and see him train and working with Mike, who's now the head coach at the Aspire Institute. And he's a phenomenal coach and one of Bryce's guys, and obviously the whole St. Ed's crew, right? But he is so dynamic, and you just can't predict what's going to happen. Like he might give up 7-8 points and not. I mean, it's just not a thing. It doesn't get rattled. He just keeps going after it, and so. I don't know that, the battle with him and O'Connor, like O'Connor's just a little bit more like fundamental and also can hit some dynamic stuff up top. And Levi, I haven't seen him do a whole lot up there, and maybe he can, maybe he's able to, but I haven't seen enough of that. But he's obviously one of the most talented young guys in the tournament right now, and he can beat anybody. Ain't no doubt about it.
Let me. I always like watching YouTube videos about like technique and stuff like that, just because that is not in my wheelhouse at all. But let's. I'm just gonna find any match here. Let me find a match where.
It's only 165.
165. Let's see what else you got. Oh, you got them downloaded.
I got them.
This is the old school. This is basically printing them, dude.
I couldn't figure out how to get the brackets. I couldn't.
Just pick a match. All right, so I'm gonna pick a match, and then if you're comfortable with doing this, I want you to tell me. You're gonna basically pretend like I'm your wrestler, right? And you're gonna tell me how to beat this guy, and then we'll do the other guy.
Okay,
is that right? So keep it fair.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Is that cool? All right, what are we gonna find, Ryan? Let's see what we can get. You want to do 165?
All right, let's go.
Let's give him two wrestlers. He's for sure gonna know.
Okay.
All right, let's do let's do our boy Lucas Bird.
Yes.
Lucas Bird.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Lucas Bird and his family. Lucas Bird versus Dayton Fix. So. Let's start with Dayton Fix. I'm trying to beat Dayton Fix. What should I do? I'm Lucas Bird.
That's a tough deal. I think Lucas Bird, and he's a Cincinnati LaSalle kid, which is one of our guys. Eric Beck's on our staff from the same high school, so pretty familiar with him. And same deal. He's pretty dynamic, and he can hit some stuff up top too, that can really shock some people. Now I haven't seen Dayton get tossed around from upper body attacks. But if I were to go into that match in Lucas's situation, I would say, hey, he's gonna have to bring a really solid hand fight, and because Dayton's just so fundamentally positionally sound, but he can lightning attack and lightning score. So I would have him bringing a solid hand fight, but making sure that Dayton's reacting to him, trying to get, hey, we can sneak in a stall call, early. Lucas, he's pretty good on top, but, one of those things where, hey, if you can drop down on a leg and, throw him out of balance a little bit and build up some riding time and get a quick escape. But getting a takedown for Lucas is going to be probably the toughest. And so maybe not going after that so early. Where Dayton's so good at, try to, that's what I'm saying, solid hand fight, keep him reacting to you, and don't let Dayton do Dayton things, in terms of being able to strike his attacks early and stay in really good position. Might need to go down on a knee a little bit, might need, to prevent some of that. And then, hopefully in the third period, you're in a little better position. And I think, when you get somebody, and I would never tell my athlete to stall. I would. You would.
If I'm
stalemates. So you're looking for the stalemate. Look for a bunch of stalemates.
I'm looking for stalemates all the time. I was always on my back, like, can you stalemate me?
This is a stalemate.
We haven't moved.
This isn't going anywhere.
There's been no action. I'm not letting him off of me.
Yeah. but yeah, I mean, Fixes, when he's in his matches against Roman, like, hey, getting ridden was one of those things that has shown that could be effective, and so, but hopefully, hey, when you get in a tight match like that, like I said, hopefully, it can bring a little bit of fear and anxiety late, and I mean, these guys are, I mean, Dayton's as experienced as you're going to get, in terms of senior level and everything. So I don't know how rattled he's really going to be, but again, sometimes that heart rate beats a little bit harder, and you need to stop, think right. And I think that's probably where Lucas is going to have his best chances if he can keep it close and try to get something. If he goes out there and tries to get after Fix right away and is trying to hit a bunch of offense, I think he's going to get lit up.
Too many reattacks. Yeah.
All right. The other side.
Yeah, I mean, for Fix, it's I would never try to get what Coach Smith would be telling his athlete to do, and I don't know if there's really anything outside of go do you, be you, take control of the mat, and don't wait around. We're here to get a job done. This is the next guy in the way, and he's got more than the tools to beat everybody, to beat Rome Bravo Young too, and that hasn't happened, in this tournament yet, but from him, I don't know, it's kind of unique in that if you know your wrestler, sometimes you can really coach him up. Like, this is a strategic, tactical type of thing we're going to do. And other guys, like, you don't even mess with that stuff, right? Like, because maybe they're a little over analytical and haven't matured enough mentally to be able to handle some of that information, not overthink it and freeze up out there. I think sometimes that's why you see the close matches, earlier in the year, everybody's like, there's no scoring, right? They're talking about that. And it's like, well, these guys are prepared for their opponents. Like, they know what they're bringing and are really prepared for it, which makes it tough to score. And would I love to see a ton of scoring? Of course, but I don't not appreciate a strong, solid, close match just because of that. And so, but for Fix, I mean, yeah, just go do what you do, man. Go, don't take a back seat and make sure that you're creating the action.
If you're Fix, getting a takedown in the first minute and a half, you're golden. Yep. And if you're Bird, that's worst case, because then you're under, you get the double boots in, and it could be trouble.
Those to me are the worst matches, where it's like, as soon as a guy takes him down, you just know that the wrestlers are probably not capable of scoring again. So it's like, dang, that was it.
It's tough.
You've seen a lot of that with Swiderski this year.
I don't know if they were trolling. I don't know if they were trolling or being genuine, but someone in the chat asked, "How's Swiderski doing?"
He's doing great.
I actually am the biggbiggest Swiderski fan, but that match yesterday where he got taken out on road just hurt my soul.
Oh, they literally just asked again. Swiderski lost yet? I think they're trolling.
Yeah.
Here's the deal.
He's a tough kid, man. He's a tough kid.
You guys want to know what time it is? Casey Swiderski is a true freshman. Casey Swiderski is still alive. It's day 2. I think a lot of people are saying that he was going to go 0-2. I'll go on record, and we're saying this because I said he was going to win the whole tournament before the season started. I said a true freshman who's never wrestled a single match is going to win at 141. And
started
so I'm
out
getting a little
pretty
bit
strong
of flack for that these days. But he's still alive. He's on the backside. I like his path. It's not terrible. He's going to have the Northwestern kid. He's got to win. He's got the 7th seed today, so that's another one where I was probably cheering for an upset, and now we got him on the backside. It's the Cornell kid, Cornella, I think his name is.
Vince, yeah.
So he's going to have him, and then he's going to have Tal Shahar if he beats him. Most likely Tal Shahar. I'm not for sure. So it's not an easy path, but it never is. But I don't mind the path, and I think Casey Swiderski with the right Casey, which we saw at the Big 12s, he did really well. Mm-hmm. And he also gave Real Woods probably one of his toughest matches this whole year.
Right.
And but it's a long season. It's a grind. He's probably not as healthy as he was at one point in the year, but he's gonna be all right. Not worried about him.
He's a fighter, man. He's always been. I mean, watching him. First time I saw him was at Grappler Fall Classic in Michigan, and just being like, wow, this kid I'm not just a good wrestler, but he wrestled with that attitude and just brought fight and wanted to bully people around.
Yeah, I got to talk with his dad a little bit yesterday, and we were just kind of talking about the season and everything, and he was just talking about how good this season was for Casey, which is a pretty great perspective to have considering he was 11-10. And what I said, and I told him was, if any other wrestler was 11-10 coming into this tournament, people wouldn't really be talking about him. They'd probably say, how'd this kid even make it to the tournament? But no one's saying that about Casey because they know how tough he is. Yes, he's had some losses, but you're a true freshman wrestling Division I. He was in high school last year. Last year, I was telling his parents this. Last year, I was watching him wrestle at the super match event, and he was wrestling in the high school division. And then the following year, he's wrestling down on the floor. So that's how Casey Swiderski's doing, you haters. But no, another one though, Pinero's backside is going to be interesting too, because he's probably going to have he's got to win a couple, right? And then he's going to have to face Yaya or Sasso in the blood round or the round before that. So it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Man, here's a guy that kind of snuck through yesterday. Again, didn't even realize it until looking at it. 29 seed Caleb Fish beat Julian Ramirez.
Ballin'.
Now he's in the quarters.
No.
Did you get to see the Ramirez Fish match?
No.
It was crazy.
Really?
It was madness. They're just throwing each other all over the mat.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Say it, so I'm talking about. And then right below that, though, Hamidi Amin.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great. Amin just shows up at the NCAAs. Man, so many good matches.
Is it Brands and Lewis in the quarters today?
Yeah.
Yep.
Lewis doesn't look like the same Lewis. He was kind of limping after the first.
That had me
session.
worried.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
I wasn't as worried about it as you
Brands
were, but
obviously performed well for his seed.
What'd you say, Coach?
I said I wasn't as worried as he was about it. I was, I was like, hey, that's not bad. That's not a bad thing for Iowa here in that situation.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. That was something. Brands beating Ethan
Oh, yeah.
Smith.
That's big.
That's one of those matches where Brands got that takedown and it was like, oh, it's probably over.
Is it?
It was crucial. He just snuck that in at the end of the first period, and that was what he needed.
Yeah. What do we got going on at heavyweight today? Do you have that one?
Oh, yeah.
Sam
Gosh, what an
Schuyler, though,
incredible
last
bracket.
night wrestled the Northwestern kid, Lucas. Was it Lucas Davidson? Is it? I don't know.
Lucas
have
or Andrew,
they have two
yeah.
Davidsons there, but
Yeah.
there's like maybe a legal slam going on. I didn't see that. Did you guys get to see that at all?
I did not. No.
It was a trap arm return. I couldn't see it from my angle. I'm just going off what Cycle Nation saying, and it looked like a heavy slam. And so then I'm going through this thing where a couple weeks ago at the Iowa High School State Tournament, I saw a slam, and I'm like oh, that guy's. Because the kid said he could continue, right? And so he gets the win and he gets to move on.
Man.
And
That's
so I'm
brutal.
like in my head, like thinking it like, oh, I wouldn't do that. And then my guy, I'm like, Sam,
Hey,
stay down.
stay
down. Get to the next
Get down, but, Sam's tougher than me, and he competed the rest of the match, competed hard, and lost, I think, 3-1 or something like that. But what we got on heavyweight?
Heavyweight's great. We have on the top side, Paris and Davison from Northwestern. Pretty sure Paris has probably already wrestled them. And then below that, Schultz and Cassiope. That is a match. Schultz is an NCAA finalist. He's been looking great.
Did you see Schultz last night? The whole crowd was like,
God.
That's a moose.
Yeah.
And Cassiope, 2 majors. I mean, so he's rolling. That's probably the match of the bracket. And then Kirklevitt, Hilger. The 6th seed from Harvard did not make it through, so Hilger beat him. And then Elam, which was the 10th seed versus Hendrickson. I've been super impressed with Elam all year, so I was surprised that he was the 10th seed.
Yeah, did they wrestle in the Big 12s? Did they wrestle?
They wrestled in the finals.
They did.
Hendrickson won.
Control them.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for him, and I know my teammate from Iowa, Joe Johnson's one of the assistants there. Air Force would be great to see those guys punch him through. He's been so dynamic and scored so many points at heavyweight. He's so fun to watch. You'd love to see a guy like that get it punched through right away here and get to the semis.
I can't remember a heavyweight that's been that solid on top. Not in the terms of like just riding time, but in the I'm going to turn you, I'm going to pin you. That's super impressive. Does anybody come to mind for you for a heavyweight that's been that dominant in that position?
Man, I mean, I'm sure there's been some really good ones, but I mean, during my time, Mako was really good, but just didn't. I mean, it was feet to back type of stuff, right? And just not that dynamic against the best guys in terms of turning them and pinning them. And
I got a Mako question. So I'm talking with fellas yesterday, and we're talking about heels of sport and who's trying to be a heel and who's not. He says Mako was a nice guy, great guy and stuff like that, which I'm sure he is. Was he the last like good heel you think in college wrestling?
That's probably a good way to put it because he was a great dude. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, still, anytime you talk to him, you can tell. If you've ever had a conversation, you can tell that Mock was a great guy, and he loves the sport too, and loves to train and loves to beat people up. There was such an intimidation factor for him right away when he came in. Like people were scared when they wrestled him. And I haven't seen that for a while, right? Like,
Yeah.
who you step out on the mat against, and people are literally scared of the guy you're stepping across. I don't know that. Even though we got some bad dudes right now in this tournament, but I don't know that anybody steps on the mat is like fearful of that guy. Like, this dude might kill me.
Yeah, you're kind of right. You don't really see that as much, and I feel like even with like Spencer Lee, those guys are like, I feel like because he kind of has that hurt factor, like where he's we don't really know the status of his health, and so these guys kind of go out there when they wrestle him, and they kind of think like, oh, I might be the one.
Yeah.
They usually aren't.
I have two other heel candidates.
Let's hear it.
Would you say Ben Askren as a college wrestler was a heel?
He was a little bit before I was really like paying attention like that, but
So that's one.
I don't know. I don't think I can answer that because I wasn't really around then.
I think Ben, same deal. Good dude, right? Awesome for the sport, and
I love it. Yeah.
I think he was more on the side of the verbal, right? That's part of who he's always been. Like, he's just been out there, and he puts himself out there. And I remember listening to one of his interviews talking about how he went on the forums in high school and was, doing stuff, on there to kind of get. So he brought a little bit more of that on. I think Mako was just going to go out and wrestle. And
Tony
I
Ramos,
remember that.
Little bit heel.
A little bit.
And I also think
The
Carter
stare-down
Shiraki
component,
wants
right?
to be a heel. He just doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
Carter wants to be a heel.
Some people
I
just.
just feel like that.
Sriracha?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think he does.
A lot of the people who in recent years have tried to be the heel just need to work on their delivery a little bit. I think.
Study
The
chair
problem with
for a while.
Sriracha is Sriracha went and did that flow piece, and I watched it, and he was like super nice. Which
Can't be that guy.
I guess Conor McGregor was kind of a heel, and he was super charismatic, but it was kind of like in a flashy way, and like Askren was flashy too. You hear the story about him walking around with the boom box and stuff. That was your pod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Ryan Warner, Wrestling Changed My Life. Check it out.
Thank you.
So you hear those kind of stories, and you're like, yeah, that is kind of like, you kind of have to have both. You got to, obviously, the number one, you got to be good. Number two, you got to talk, that talk. And then three, I think the style that you wrestle, you have to be dominant. That's kind of my other critique of Carter, who is an all-time legend. I can't say it enough. But he doesn't, like, he wins, right? And so if his narrative was like, yeah, I win. Like, you hate me, you love me. Like Chris Perry, after he won, he was like, you guys are booing me, but I won, or whatever he said. I don't know the quote, but it was like, yeah, that's cool. But like for Carter, he says, I'm going to dominate this man and, embarrass him from his family, and I'm going to tech or pen him. And then he goes out there and it's 3-1. So a win's a win, and I would never knock that. But if you're going to write that check, you got to cash it. So I think another one that I missed, we're naming all Hawkeyes. With Penn State and Mizzou. But Gilman.
Yep. Scott Crawford in the chat just said Thomas Gilman, all-time heel.
Remember in that video, Oklahoma State, they're in the Oklahoma State room warming up, and Flo's doing the interview, and he won't turn his back around because they're in enemy territory.
And I
love that.
Committed to, and I'm not saying it's a bit because I've never met him. He's probably is like that.
I think
that's
like
that. You can't just do certain press conferences and be a heel, and then do other content, and you're like pretty tame. Yeah. You have to be that guy all the
every time.
And so like you're saying, he's like there, and he's like, you're my back is to the wall because you never know. And like Brand's kind of
that's Jason Bourne type stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly.
What'd you say?
So that's Jason Bourne type stuff right there, right?
Right. Yeah.
You know everything in your surroundings, right?
Yeah. As much as I booed Gilman throughout his days, I felt like it was like enjoyable that he was around.
And he's kind of created that even still, right? Like, just because, all right, now he left Iowa and is now at Penn State. Like, everybody that was behind him and back him. I don't know that. I'm not around the Hawkeye faithful enough now to know how people feel about that move, but they can't be excited about it, right? No. Like, can't be loving the fact that he's now at Penn State, and so he's kind of created another little dynamic to that too. So
I'm kind of hoping Swiderski turns into a heel. We don't really hear him talk a whole lot, but if the match is competitive and stuff, he's gonna do something to try to get you to react, and that's heel-like behavior.
There you go.
You just need to get the winning going, and see what happens. But yeah,
He could definitely be the heel. I like his
think so.
energy and his chip on his shoulder. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Iowa State needs we need a heel. I don't know if we've ever had a heel. Gable a heel?
No, I don't know about that. There's
I know one that would be the complete opposite of a heel is Ben Peterson, who I used to coach with at Whitewater, and it was an incredible opportunity. But he'd be a great guy for you to do on your stuff too. And just absolutely amazing, and an Iowa State, guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's anybody that's complete opposite of a heel, that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Did you coach Tommy G?
I did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
What do you think about what do you think about his career?
Oh man, he's awesome. Tommy and he kind of hinted at in your guys' thing. He goes, "There was a coach that."
Was that you?
That was me. Yeah.
Oh no!
That,
What's your opinion on it now? I was actually wondering, I wonder what that coach thinks about this stuff now.
Yeah.
So if people don't know, Tommy G is this YouTube creator. We interviewed him and did a video about him, and he is a YouTube creator that does some edgier content.
Yeah.
And so when he was on the wrestling team, he put out an edgy music video.
Yeah.
And so
It was called
being a
like
coach, you're like,
Bangers.
hey, maybe you can't have that,
Yeah.
which is totally understandable. But did you ever see his career going this way?
I didn't put anything past what he could do, just because he was so creative, and he was very determined, and always had good energy, and just great attitude, and believes in himself. He invested in himself all the time, and so not surprised or shocked at all the success that he's been able to have. It's been fun following him. I love watching his videos, and yeah, some of it's for me is okay, that's maybe not quite the thing I want to do, and that's kind of like the same deal. Like when he created the rap video in college, it's like, man, I love that you're able to do something like this, because it is so unique,
But
but
not right now.
the content is not representative of what we want to represent. And so it was tough for him. And there was just some other headbutting stuff amongst the, coming into that program. There was some people didn't want me there, and so from that side of things, it would have been easy for him just to say, screw off, coach, I'm done with this thing. But wrestling meant enough to him. And I was able to tell him, just need to take it off right now. And it wasn't an immediate thing, something we had to work through, but just a phenomenal kid, and just been so proud of what he's been able to do, and what it's not just the YouTube stuff, right? For him, it's, just got to see him at his wedding, and to see what he's doing with his life is just so cool. And as a coach, that's their most rewarding part, right? I always tell recruits, hey, you win a national title is going to be awesome. That moment's going to be really cool. I said, but hopefully someday, you're inviting me to your wedding, and we're going to see your life unfold that way. And so that for me is most rewarding, to see a guy like him kicking butt in life and just having a good time with it.
Was that an athletic director call?
No, it was 100%
video?
me. I'm not sure the athletic director was aware of the video.
Thank God,
Yeah.
right?
But that's why you told him, because you didn't get there. But,
I didn't know someone called you and then you had to call. We were talking about it last night. I'm like, how many of these coaches throughout their career have gotten a call at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they just have the most crazy stories about what these guys have gotten themselves into.
There should be some. See, you guys can grab some retired coaches, and you can do some stuff on that. It would be really cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna have Gibbons come on the show. It didn't work out for scheduling reasons, but he was like, just bring your camera down to the whatever hotel, and this guy's gonna be. He starts naming all these people. He's like, that'll be content.
Yeah.
That would
Just hang out with the camera on, right?
Yeah. Well, Coach and Ryan, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Ryan, where can people find you and support you?
Yeah, appreciate it. WrestlingChangeMyLife.com, and then just put in Wrestling Changed My Life anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yep, and I said this to him yesterday. Ryan's channel is kind of like it's almost like a library. If you've wrestled before, and you get a Ryan Warner interview, it's pretty sick. And
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, so check him out. It's one of the podcasts I can listen to and listen from front to the end. And it's not the same interviews that you hear on everybody else's channels. And he really does a deep dive and does his homework. So check his stuff out. And Coach, where can the people find you and support you and support your program?
Yeah, well, first, just to hit on Ryan's stuff too. I just think you do such an awesome job with it. Not just the the wrestling fan.
Thank
right?
you. I appreciate it.
And so, you know, I guess we're talking to a wrestling audience probably primarily here, but yeah, go on there, listen to his stuff, and share it with the people who just like to hear good stories and like to hear, you know, about some of the best they've ever done, whatever they do, right?
Like me, I was on there.
That's right. That's right. The best. Yeah, exactly. No, you got everybody can find us on it's Bellarmine Wrestling, so BU Knights WRE. I didn't get to create that unfortunately, but on Instagram and Twitter as well. And then my stuff is just Ned Shuck.
When are you guys
Just like
live,
the wrestling
Coach?
move.
When are you guys live to compete?
So we have one more season.
Okay.
Yep. And then 2025 will be the first time in the SoCon and Ncaa tournament.
Let's go.
Love it. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
to
Can't
see
wait.
you
Can't wait's our motto. So that's I'm glad you guys both dropped it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Hey, I use this GIF all the time. You guys should use it. There's a Jets player where they're interviewing.
that's part of the inspiration, man. That's part of the inspiration. Yeah, that's part of the inspiration. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. Guys, hit subscribe to the channel, and let's go watch some wrestling, shall we?
Thanks for having me on, man.
Barbarian Apparel, #1 in the game.
Coach, we'll get you.